15 days to stop the spread, to 15 weeks to stop the spread, to 15 months to stop the spread, to now, Joe, we're moving into 15. What was that Star Trek thing? A parsec? 15 parsecs. We're now moving into eons and generational. The Earth and the molten core will slow down. The Earth will implode on itself, be sucked into the sun before we ever get past this 15 days to stop the spread thing. That's not science. That's fear-mongering. You may say, but Dan, there's risk. Yeah, there is risk. Coronavirus is very real. It's not fake. It's not a fake virus. It's a real thing. And it's really deadly to some people. People with my condition, as a matter of fact. People who are older. People who are seniors. People with compromised immune systems. It's not a joke. It's a serious thing. But for those of you suggesting for the rest of our lives we live in insulated bubbles, keep our kids out of school, wear 17 masks, and never leave the house again forever because there's risk, I ask you, when was risk not integral to the very part of your existence? No, it's a serious question. We're going to get a little deep here for a second because it actually matters. We make calculations every day of our life where we take on risk in order to live a life of freedom and liberty. We gauge what risks are necessary and what risks aren't. Why have we abandoned all of that in the era of COVID-19? Why have we done that? Why have we said no risk is worth it? As long as there's a 0.1% chance there'll be a mass outbreak in a school, nobody should go to school ever. Why have we abandoned that? Now, you may say to yourself, Dan, because someone could die. Someone, a lot of people have died, hundreds of thousands. Ladies and gentlemen, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people die every year and decade from heart disease too, despite the fact that they're told that an unhealthy diet will kill them. But they do it. That's weird, right? Why is that? Why don't we just ban bacon and ribeyes and donuts, ice cream and custard? Why don't we, custard, you'll get that someday. I'll tell you that story. Why don't we just ban all that stuff? The answer is because human beings are free, and sometimes freedom and liberty, a lot of times it has a price. And sometimes people make really bad dietary decisions. And they don't treat these things as treats or whatever. They treat them as everyday food, and they wind up sadly dying from heart failure or heart disease. Why don't we ban cigarettes? I mean, we know what cigarettes do. There's a warning on the very cigarette label. This could kill you. And yet people smoke. So why, with some responsible measures, like, hey, wash your hands if you can, keep your distance to people. Why, with some responsible measure, why can't we just go back to living our lives? Because they've told us no risk is worth it. And yet every single day we take on risks in our own lives. And some of you will say, it's not worth the cost of a human life. Folks, candidly, that's just stupidity. You put a cost on your own life every day, even as you're I know liberals watch my show. Dan, it's not worth one human life. You put a cost on your own life every day. Not me. You do it. You doubt me? As I always tell you, you can avoid an assertion. You can't avoid a question. You doubt me here? Let me ask you a question. You get in your car every day, despite the fact that you know driving in your vehicle carries a risk. People die in road accidents, thousands a week, thousands of them. There's a risk, a serious risk of death or injury every day. You are in a steel cage traveling sometimes up to 80 miles an hour on a road with other steel cages at 80 miles an hour, where the slightest thing you can't predict, like an animal jumping out in the middle of the road, could kill you at any time, but you drive every day. Why? Because you've determined you're willing to risk your own life, which you're doing. Because you think the risk is low enough with proper driving and safety measures that you're willing to take that risk, and you put a cost in your own life. Yet all that risk management and trust in individuals to manage their own risk in their own lives has gone out the window. Keep the schools closed, close the businesses, stay in your houses forever and ever and ever, even after the vaccine. Despite this, not worth one human life. Well, people put a value on their own human lives. No, it's not worth one human life, even though people do it themselves every day. Weird. Weird how we've abandoned all reason. And we think we live in a world of zero risk. That's hilariously stupid. You walk out of your house every day, exposed to RF, exposed to viruses, exposed to bacteria, exposed to brain-eating amoebas. You doubt me that the risk is low? It happens. Car accidents, plane accidents. Yet you do it because you've gauged that risk and you're smart enough to figure out how to manage it. Now, not with coronavirus. The government's just going to manage it for you because it's not worth one human life. Yet they'll put you on a plane where human lives are lost, sadly, every year. Why is that? Maybe because there's a political agenda here, and going back to my opening about how I'm extremely worried that corona is being used as a vehicle to soften you up with body blows to get you used to authoritarianism. The only thing that makes sense. It's not science. None of this is science. Great piece on this by the legendary Carol Markowitz at the New York Post. I want you to read this piece. Be in my show notes again, bongino.com/newsletter.